Hello, hello, and welcome to Small Business Power, the show that is all about letting you know more about the power of small business and how it can be more involved in being the change we want to see. I am Cheyenne Kramer. This is my better half.
Don Kramer. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day.
Absolutely. And today we want to talk about the topic of knowing your talents. Mm. One of the things that's so important as small business owners, we want to be as productive and proficient as we possibly can be. Because Lord knows who wants to be wasting time when you're running a business. We got lots of time to waste.
No,
I didn't think so.
no.
And, it's just really interesting. People oftentimes, are trying to understand the difference between me and Don. We say, yeah, we're a team. Well, here's a real fact. I feel fairly comfortable with computer technology. Yes, I still want to throw my computer in the river every now and then,
Through
but
the window. I keep
but
fixing them.
I have a degree in math and computer science. I am comfortable with software. However, when it comes to hardware or electronics, who's the genius in the
Well,
family?
there's only one.
It's him. He knows that he's good with electronics. He knows that he's good with the hardware side of things. He can pull things apart and fix them, put them back together. That's not me. I'm much more into the software side of things. And it's only because we're able to kind of come together and know what our talents are and who needs to be doing what in relation to them that we can actually start to be an effective team.
That's true.
And it's funny because in the past week I've had the opportunity to revisit this little lesson. I remember many years ago, and I don't know if you even remember this. You might have been aware of what I'm doing. But many years ago, we had joined this smaller network marketing company. I mean, we are a believer in that industry. If you don't know that, that's definitely got a lot of the golden rule incorporated into it when it's done correctly.
That sounds like another show.
Another show, you're right, it is. But for the moment, let's just say that I was instructed by some folks. They handed me this list of people who supposedly wanted to have a home based business. And I'm talking, there was at least a couple of hundred names on that list. And they told me that if I just started going through that list and calling these people, that I would find some people to join our team. Well, I'm going to tell you, I called that entire list, only ended up getting one person to even think about talking to me about it. And then he, put me off and put me off. I really came to the conclusion that he was just a person that had a hard time saying no to people.
That happens.
Well, in sales, that happens to be one of the things that I really value. You probably do too.
Yes.
If somebody's not interested, saying no is one of the kindest things that you can do for a salesperson because at least then they know to move on, right?
Right. And not giving them an answer.
Oh my God.
Really, simplest way to say it, pisses them off.
Well, but it's cruel
Yes,
to
it is.
string people along and continue to give them hope when you know in your heart you have no interest. So that's another rabbit hole to go down sometime. But
Yep.
the fact of the matter is that I put out a sincere effort with those 200 names and I got nothing. That to me is a message. That is a message that says, this is not for you to do this way. This is not your talent. This is your skill set. And sometimes it's so hard for us because, first of all, I will believe, I truly believe, and let me be upfront about this. I truly believe that we can learn to be good at anything we choose to get good at. For some of us, it may take a longer period of time. It may be harder before you start to be able to have success with something. But I truly believe if you have a sincere desire, even if you're not good to start out, you could get there. But one of my preferences, and I'm pretty sure you'd probably agree given on how we work together, one of my preferences is let's just get smart about where our are and where they're not. And If your talent is not in a specific place, then, there's a lot of things you can do about it. You can hire a virtual assistant to help you with something that you're not good at. Or you can find a teammate like we have
Yep.
and,
Mhm.
figure out, okay, I'm good at this, but you're good at that. So you do this and I'm going to do this. And together we'll make it work. These are some of the things. And last week was just crazy because I decided to try something out and it was the same darn thing I had done all those years ago. And somebody gave me a list of 250 people who supposedly had interest in a product. And it was crazy. I spent hours going through that list, calling people. And first of all, I could hardly get anybody on the phone. I know how to speak to voicemails like nobody's business.
You're the voicemail queen, huh?
I'm the voicemail queen.
Queen.
I left so many messages last week for people and never heard back from anybody. So that was the first key. The second key was that um, I think out of all those calls I made, there might have been 3 or 4 people that I actually got to talk to a real human being. And out of that, 2 of them assured me that they already had everything covered without me letting ask any questions. One of them didn't hardly hear anything I said and slammed the phone in my ear. And the other one, this is a funny one. This was the one gal out of all these phone calls who was willing to talk to me. And she was traveling in the mountains and kept breaking up. The call kept breaking up. Only hear half of what she was saying. She could only hear half of what I was saying. And it was just the funniest thing. And so once the call finally dropped, because again, she was in the mountains traveling, I just said, you know what? I had her cell phone number, so I sent her a text message to kind of finish up the conversation. Just said, thanks so much for your time. Here's the final thing I was trying to communicate. And then she did text back and said, no, I got all that covered. Boom. So there was a situation with all of these leads, all of these phone calls made, and I couldn't get any tangible results out. So to me, that's the time when you kind of stop and you go, okay, not only that, it drained every ounce of energy I had. I mean, how early was I falling asleep last week?
Very early. Wait till the sun goes down, honey.
Just sitting on the couch and I'm suddenly like zonked out because it was such a draining thing. And that is another telltale sign. Typically, if something is truly your talent, it energizes you to do it.
That's true.
If it's not your talent, it will drain you. Hey, Janice, thanks for stopping by today. So happy to see you here. So, that's part of what we've got to be able to discern within our own spirit is, where are our talents? What can we be doing with them versus some things we just shouldn't bother doing? That's when you look for a virtual assistant. That's when you look for somebody who is skilled. Oh my goodness. I will tell you that another interesting experiment I did a number of years ago, and you probably remember this one. I actually worked in a call center for a few months, and it was getting donations for a political party. And I'm not even going to get into telling you which one because the whole thing behind the scenes was so horrifying to me. It was one of the things that Don and I learned about in terms of what the system really looks like on
That's
the
true.
inside. And it was horrifying. But it was just funny because when I started out in that call center, I actually was having some success in getting some donations. But the further that I went along the path, and the more that I learned about what was going on in the internal workings, the more disgusted I became with the whole thing. And the more disgusted I became with it, all of a sudden my donations rate went way down to the point that I figured they were probably going to fire me if I really quit. So, that again, listening to our spirit, listening to what's inside us, and just recognizing if you can't have success doing something, if you've really given it some serious energy, you've gone out there and done the best you can, and you cannot get any results, look for somebody else that you can work with, that you can create to be part of your team, who can pick up on those pieces that you cannot do as well. I keep getting the feeling you have some thoughts on this.
Well, because of your uh, approach, it's not the approach of I'm going to twist their arms till they
Mm.
say yes, which is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing
Mm-hmm.
it as a very faith type thing
Yeah.
that you're not going to, force people.
Well, because we happen to believe very strongly in the idea that no one should initiate force
Right.
against
That's
anybody,
true.
right?
If we tell you about something, reason why we are going to tell you about it is because we believe in the product or what have you. We do truly believe in certain products, and we will tell you how good those products are. But are we going to get you in a headlock, force you to say, "Oh yeah, sign me up"? No,
Oh my
you
goodness.
are an adult. You have your own free will. You get to decide. So we're not going to do that. There's a lot of people out there, and they do it pretty sneaky.
Oh my goodness. Some
How
of
they
them
get
do.
you, sneak that arm around your head, and get you in a headlock until you say yes, yes, yes.
And they'll even hit you on the head until you get
And
there.
to
Oh my
me,
God.
that's about the worst you can do, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually hurts the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So there's people out there doing real good, but they're hurting the industry, and eventually it catches up with them.
It does. And
And
you know what? And I just remembered that I heard another example of all this the other day because, some of the work that I've been doing online, I'm learning more and more about the difference between what they call push marketing and pull marketing. And push is kind of like what he was talking about. You're trying to wrangle somebody into saying yes. You're trying to kind of force the situation. And pull marketing is much more about
right,
finding people who have the interest in what you have or what you do, and are at least open to learning. And when they learn, if they want it, great.
you
And if
call
they don't,
you call that attraction marketing?
that's called attraction marketing.
Yeah,
It's pulling people towards you. So very definitely. And I just heard this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And it's interesting because this was a gentleman that I was talking to about payment processing. So, anybody who's in business, we're all working with credit cards, things of that nature. And it's interesting that there's more and more challenges to be able to work with a payment processor right now. And what this person basically told me was, well, and with coaching businesses, there's more and more payment processors who are getting nervous because there's so many people who hype people online and get them excited initially about buying something. Everybody jumps through the hoops and goes through that payment processor to buy something, but then they end up changing their mind and going back for the refund. And so a payment processor can get caught in the middle there if somebody hasn't put together a refund policy.
right.
So all of these things, when we're trying to push something to happen, when we're trying to make something happen, our talents may be telling us that there's a better way. There may be definitely better ways to find the right people to work with. And oh my God, all these other things start to happen when we're not honoring our gifts and talents.
So let me back up a second. So you're saying there's pages out there who don't have a refund
Mm-hmm.
button or what have you,
Or a policy.
policy. And if you don't see that, what should you do?
Well, the payment processors are starting to demand more of
Yeah.
it.
Basically, if I don't see that, I'm getting the heck off that page. I'm sorry. If you're not going to be totally honest. So, yes, if you see something out there, personally, I don't see a refund page or something like that button. I'm getting off. I'm not going to buy the product.
There you go.
That's just not me. And they hope you don't ask for that.
Well, of course, but the point of the matter is that there's a big difference if you're making a sale by hyping somebody,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps even telling them things that may or may not be true
I've
about
seen that
something,
too much.
versus you're attracting people in such a way that they get to trust you
Mm-hmm.
and they get to a place, if they decide to buy from you, that they're doing it because they've gotten to know, like, and trust you, and they feel comfortable with what you're doing.
And that's the only way to do marketing.
It truly is. It truly is. But really, the whole gist of what I really wanted to bring to you today, and we've kind of gotten into some other
Yes,
arenas
we have.
about sales and marketing,
my
and
fault.
that's okay. No, it's okay. I think it's good information. But the whole idea is don't be afraid to honor what your gifts and talents are.
Definitely.
And if something is draining you to the point that you can't move forward, if you're doing something over and over and over again and you're not getting any results, what's that called?
Insanity.
Insanity. That's right. Just recognize that something may not be your gift, may not be your talent. Perhaps there's somebody who can help you with it. That's why there's so many amazing small business owners out here, because we all have a different gift and talent, and we can help you with those arenas where you're not quite as talented. You have any final thoughts,
No,
Tom?
I think we covered a good deal of stuff.
Probably too much. But at any rate, thank you so much for tuning into Small Business Power this week. I am Cheyenne Kramer. This is Donald Kramer. And we know that you have the ability to be the change that the world is looking for. So don't just sit on the bleachers. Get up and do the change. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.